People have asked me about the process of doing PPIs, so this video is going to be a behind the scenes of the entire process of having me do a PPI for you. So what I'm doing right now is, obviously I'm driving a little over 2 hours into North Carolina to do a PPI. So somebody made a request. It could be via Instagram, Facebook, email, contact form on McMedics.com, any which way. They said, hey, can you do a PPI on this car? That's a pre-purchase inspection. So they made the request. They lined up with the dealer. They made the deal of what they expect price-wise, that kind of thing. How that worked out, arranged with that particular dealer, or it could be an individual. And we worked out a date and time for me to come look at this car. So with all that sorted out, I'm now on my way. It's close enough that I'm actually driving to this one, but this is going to be a little bit of a unique experience where I'm actually going to do 2 PPIs in this video, and I'm going to cover both ways, one driving and one flying. A little bit more on that later. So from the request, we got everything lined up with the dealer. I'm headed to the dealer right now, and the cost of doing this at the time of recording this video is $800 for the inspection plus the cost of travel. The cost of travel in this case is going to be about $80 in gas. I don't have any overnight. I'm not renting a car. We don't have any of that. So that's what we're working with on this one. And once I get to the dealer, I'll show you the next step. Here we are at the dealer. This is the car that we are inspecting. This is a 650S Spider. And on these cars, we've got several things that we're going to look at. Some of them are common between all of the models, but this one in particular, we want to check the accumulators because it does have those where the Sport Series does not. But because it's a Spider, we're going to check the top. We're going to check the air brake because it's Super Series. We're going to do a cosmetic inspection over the entire car. I'm going to get under it, take a few things apart, and go up here to the frunk. Take the frunk apart. We're going to look back behind everything in there, make sure we don't have any leaks. This is a very, very in-depth inspection. These take about 3 to 4 hours, and some of this I call trade secrets, so I won't tell you all of the things that I do on these, but it is extremely in-depth on all these inspections. So after I do all of the visual inspection, I'll be doing the driving portion of that inspection, and I may show you part of what an inspection actually looks like as the end result of what you get on one of these. One other thing I forgot to mention is I have to travel with tools. So here's, for doing PPIs, I don't bring everything ready for other jobs, but for PPIs we've got an impact so I can take wheels off, a bunch of sockets, wrenches, extensions, that kind of thing. I can read codes. So I do bring enough tools that I travel with all the time to work on these cars. So I have to be efficient with how I'm packing my bag for both weight and size in all of these cases, just to make sure that I can take everything apart, but I don't carry too much, and I can also carry it on the plane. That inspection took right just over the 3-hour mark, and I generally expect them to take 3 to 4 hours. There wasn't anything I had to really dig deeper on that car. Everything checked out very well. Some minor cosmetic issues, which will show up on the report, which I'll kind of show you an example of that. But everything run and drove fine, and no leaks that I had to track down or anything like that. So for the most part, it was pretty good. Now, with that information, I've already started to compile the report going down my list. And then I have to go back and add the pictures and some notes and that kind of thing. I do that after the fact. I don't do that while on site. Normally, I would do that when I get back to my hotel or back wherever, but I am now headed to the airport, which is actually halfway between where I was just doing that inspection and where I live, because I'm going to do another PPI. So I can show you the other aspect of it, of what exactly is it like when I have to fly to do a PPI. So once I get to the airport, I'm going to finalize that report, send that off to the person who hired me for that. And if they have any questions, I can talk to them about that, advise on that kind of things. But that's what I'll be working on as soon as I get to the airport. So that's going to be the next update. So I'm not at my normal airport. Normally I go out of GSP, but I'm going to go to Charlotte because it was on the way home from the other one. But I have one bag, and I have to check it because of the tools. Sometimes I have two bags. Depends what kind of stuff I'm working on. So I am now in the Charlotte airport, in the Admirals Club. I spend a lot of time in here on layovers when I've got a long layover because I can get free food. It's generally pretty quiet in here. Free drinks, free Wi-Fi. I can watch planes. So that's one travel tip thing. There is utilize your resources. So the inspection itself. I've got my laptop here where I'm getting all this arranged. I've got a summary of all the things. Big old checklist. And pictures of problem areas. So a lot of cosmetic things on this car. There's only a few things that didn't work, like the reverse lights. That was something that didn't work, not a big deal. The console door itself was loose, just got to screw that back in a little bit tighter. Those loosen up sometimes, not a big deal. But all that stuff, it's relatively minor. So I've got that entire report. I've sent that off a mere few hours after I finished it to the customer so they can see that and decide if they want to buy that or not, and then go from there. So that part is done. Meanwhile, I am headed to Arizona to do another PPI, but this is one that I'm flying to, obviously, as I mentioned before. So in this case, they have the cost of the flight, the cost of a rental car, the cost of a hotel, because I have to go all the way to the West Coast, so I got to stay overnight. I'm actually going to fly in tonight and then do it in the morning and then fly home immediately after. So I'm in Arizona for less than 24 hours. I do that quite a bit. They have the cost of those on top of the cost of the inspection itself. So it might seem like it's a lot of money. It might end up being maybe $1,500 or even $2,000 in, but if you really think about the grand scheme of things, it's less than 1% of what you're potentially buying, which that could be a deal breaker. So it could actually save you a ton of money by spending that less than 1% for And now I am in Phoenix. So I've flown cross country for this PPI. I go to bed, get up in the morning, be there as soon as they open, do the PPI, and then I'm back in the airport. So I've still got to go to baggage claim. So that's just part of time that I got to build in. Picking up a rental car, again, time I got to build in. If I wasn't going straight to the hotel, I'd have to factor that in to all of my travel time and getting to the job and doing what I'm doing. So you kind of got to know what airports, how long they take to go through them, how long baggage claim takes, how long it takes to pick up a car, all these things to stay on schedule. It can get pretty nuts. Now, I rent cars a lot, and it took me 25 minutes to get to the rental car depot. I took 25 minutes to get my bags, took 20 minutes to get to the rental car depot, and I don't have to wait in line at a ticket counter or anything. I can go straight to the car. I already know what parking space my car is in, and that also means that I know what car I am getting. That speeds up the process a lot. If you rent cars even every once in a while, it's probably worth it to get those perks. I do that with Avis. I think Enterprise does the same thing. There might be some other ones as well. But it definitely works out for me. So I can go straight out to the car and then get on the road and not have to deal with anything else or anybody else. I should also mention that I've landed at night and it is 98 degrees. I've also found my car in Q12, and unfortunately, this is Q12. Now I know what you're thinking. I'm good to go now, right? You'd be wrong. Because while I landed in Phoenix, the PPI's in Scottsdale, and I've got to be there when the dealership opens, because as soon as I finish up, I got to go back to the airport. So what I'm doing is driving the 30 minutes to Scottsdale from Phoenix to get to my hotel that's like 2 miles from the dealer, and then I'm actually in for the night. Now, I've been up since 8 a.m. Eastern, and we are coming up on 9 p.m. Pacific. So I'm going for quite some time. Then I've got the inspection to do, and then I've got to absolutely be gone from there on my way back to the airport at the latest noon. So I'm really not here for very long at all, and that's very typical for a lot of these PPIs. I'm in town for less than 24 hours. Even if I flew to the other side of the country, you know, I'm 2 time zones away, technically 3 time zones away, and that's just kind of how that goes. Now, I obviously stay in hotels a lot, and that means you get some perks like free upgrades. So one thing that's cool about Hilton's is they have a digital key. And sometimes it even works. So let's see what the room looks like. There we go. So we've got a whole living room, a whole bedroom, big old bathroom. So it's not too bad of a room that I'm not in for very long. And if you're wondering why I'm winded, it's because I decided to park by the stairs and just took the stairs up a few floors. In a shocking turn of events, I actually got to sleep last night. So now I'm headed to the next PPI, which is 2 miles away. It's gonna be a mad dash. So as soon as I get that done, I get to immediately drive straight back to the airport. In doing these PPIs, I work in a lot of different environments. In this particular case, I'm on a lift outside. So I'm doing a PPI on this 600 LT with every option checked. This is what I'm working with. Fortunately, I'm doing it in the morning, so it's not crazy hot yet. Last night it was 98 degrees. It's only, I don't know, 85 or something right now, but also a random Batmobile. Really? Now, took a shuttle back to the airport after I drove a half hour back here. We're over here, so now I gotta go check my bag that they also broke, so I gotta get that handled so they'll pay for it. So I've gotta do airport things here. I can go through security, and I can get back to my gate. It is now about 12:30. Now remember, not that long ago is when I got here. You might see a little bit different video because I had to change from my GoPro that's being problematic. The 11s are apparently problematic. So one thing to note is that broken bag situation. Went ahead and reported it. You have to do that within 24 hours. They actually handed me another bag on the spot. Gave me, it's actually a really nice bag. So my bag is changed out. That issue was solved. And I'm gonna go into the Admirals Club for a little bit till my next flight. And now at 10:45 Eastern, I am finally home. So my day started yesterday at 8 a.m. Eastern, and 38, 39 hours later, I have gone to North Carolina, done a PPI, flew to Arizona, did another PPI, came home. That's basically what my life is now. I'm home for one day, and then I do it all over again. So now I kind of get an idea of everything that's happening behind the scenes and the actual time it takes to do all these things. So when you might say like $800 plus the cost of transportation, or travel, you might think, man, that's kind of expensive. But you got to remember, I'm not making money on the hotel. I'm not making money on the rental car. I'm not making money on the flight. I'm only making money on doing the inspection itself, and I'm not charging for all that driving I did and all that flying I did and sitting in airports and having connecting flights and staying hotel and being away from everything that is at home. So realistically, it's not that expensive when you see all the parts in motion that happened with that, all the time spent after the request to get all the arrangements made, book everything, just all that stuff. All things you don't see that are happening in the background. So now you have a better idea of everything that goes into, in this case, doing a PPI driving there, but also a PPI flying somewhere. And I will be doing another video that's doing other actual repair work and that kind of thing. That's a little bit different, but a lot of the same stuff. So I hope you enjoyed this insight into everything that it is that McMedics does for a pre-purchase inspection.